Sorry.
Oh, I mean,
I'm sorry.
just yeah.
Welcome to the Blatantly Biased Racing Podcast. Now here's a bald guy and some Indian.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's fine. Well, I'm probably leaving all of this in. Okay. Mexico plays England later on, and thankfully for us, a British person didn't win the British Grand Prix, so that's good for me. Let's jump into the ridiculously blatantly biased podcast.
Racing podcast.
Yeah. How are you?
Cheers.
Are you already drinking?
No, this is lemon soda.
Oh, okay.
Or that's what we're going to call it for now.
Yeah. I'll call this vodka. Joking. How's things?
Pretty good. Good race. So finally, this is what happens when... Ultimately, this is what happens when you don't have the last lap sprint, isn't it? Lewis gets screwed.
I was manipulated, man. It was ridiculous.
So you've seen the... Yeah, let's
I
jump
hate the
into it
FIA,
then.
well, for reference, but anyway.
Oh, yeah, that's a given,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So apparently this time around it was a software error. That's what happened.
Yeah. So there was two parts to it, right? So what was the first part was basically they called the unlapping cars too late to finish the procedure, which is fair enough. Like those are parts of the rules. I know that the race director, because I couldn't stop laughing, by the way, when they were like, these are heavily updated regulations. And I was like, nothing's been changed. What are you talking about? I read the rules like at the start of this season just to check. It's like the racing director's pull over the safety car is still the same. That has not changed.
No,
so 2021 could still happen again exactly as it happened in reality.
The one thing that has changed is that you need to have at least one lap before the lapped cars are allowed to join.
Yeah.
So that is the change. They've essentially they've not done the whole overriding authority thing. They've not made any change to the wording.
Look, the point is basically the race director here, like no matter what he did, nothing could change because he has full overriding authority on it still. So that's the whole point. That's the biggest thing that changed because Michael Massey could go like, well, I can do whatever I want because I have full over, and like everyone's talking as if that changed and like nothing changed.
No, it hasn't.
And once again, the FIA just fucking up. Like, I mean, look, I get it. It was a late one, and I know they try to push for green every time. And in an ideal world, we should get that. They probably, they probably could have called for red flag. They would have had more lashback from other drivers then as well. So it's kind of backlash, even. That's the word I was looking for. Yeah,
exactly.
So I think, look, I do feel for the FIA in one way because no matter what they do, they're going to get criticized. But if they were less incompetent, I'd feel more for them. Because this is, like, in 2021, as we said all the time, my biggest gripe with 2021 was people blaming Max and Red Bull because, like, they didn't pull the yellow flag. They gained from it. They didn't do it, Yeah. So this is, once again, like, as long as people blame the FIA, I'm fine with that,
Completely.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's do this thing first. Should the race have ended under the safety car, or should it have been a green? Should it have been green conditions?
It should have been a green. I think they had enough time to get one lap of racing at the end. I do think so. I think they could have handled it better and done it. But at the same time, like, even if they they would have
my
had...
thing is, does it matter that it ends under the safety car?
For me, it doesn't, personally. Like, I think this is part of F1 and you just have to take it or leave it. And, like, I don't know about you, but... Yeah, I'm sure. Like, both of us have watched old F1 back in the day when Bernie was running it, and it finished under yellow all the time.
All the time.
Yeah, it was normal. So this, I prefer it finishing under green. I think it's a good idea to try and finish it under green. But I also don't want to get into a situation where it's like, oh, there's only going to be one lap left. Let's red flag the race and have one lap to the finish. Just because you're kind of like ruining all of the driver's hard work and kind of trying to inflate it into something more. It's, for me, that's as artificial as DRS.
Yeah.
So I think if you can red flag it without fucking anyone over and you've got 2 or 3 laps left, fine, fair enough. But this would have been, someone would have got screwed.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Because as soon as they were, I think it was lap 58 when the
50,
when Max
48.
Yeah, sorry, 48.
Yeah,
when
yeah.
Max crashed. So you had 4
I think
laps
so.
left at that point, right?
Yeah.
So as soon as that happened, my initial reaction was, I don't think they can clear the car within 4 laps. But then the other scenario is, since the lap is a bit longer, it takes a bit more time. So maybe there's a possibility, there's an outside chance that it could happen. But let's be fair, I don't think when a car is beached into the gravel, 4 laps are enough anyways.
No.
The fact that they were able to turn it around, still it deserves a lot of credit. But I think we have to be very, for me personally, I don't really care if the race ends under the safety car or it has to end under green conditions. That's something I'm not really a huge fan of, especially after what happened in 2021, because that was an enforced situation on the race.
That's exactly what caused the issue.
Yeah. And even though it leads to a lot of action, but it brings unnecessary jeopardy, and it takes the merit out of the equation, right? Similar thing happened in, even though it was not an enforced one, in 2021 only, when in Baku, when Max crashed out, and you had, I think it was Alonso who just jumped through the field from P11 to P5 or something in just one lap, just ran through everyone, put on a soft tire.
I think
he had it available.
Yeah, and look, I think the thing is, if there's a few laps left, even if it's only 2 or 3, but there's like more than 1 lap left, and you can feasibly run through a proper safety car procedure and then restart, or like you think, okay, you know what, there's like 5 laps left, we could feasibly just red flag this for a moment and rerun it. It's like, okay, great. But I also don't think it should be at all costs.
In place. I think in that case, have a regulation in place.
Yeah, have something where like if it's more than 3 laps and there's a safety car and less than 10 laps or something, we're going to red flag the race, you know, fine, get the teams to agree to it. I agree with you though. I just don't think it should be like, this is the main thing should be clearing the track and getting all the safety regulations out of the way. Then it should be, okay, now can we green flag the race? It shouldn't be, we need to green flag the race, so let's rush through these safety procedures, you know? That literally would be like me going, I was going to put my seatbelt on, but I only had 5 minutes to get there. Like, it doesn't really fly. You know what I mean? So it's just, I don't think we should be doing that.
I really don't think it's it wasn't that big a deal. And I'm just, keeping, I had it in the background, the whole post F1 show. So this thing kept continuously being brought up that, okay, the race should have probably ended under green conditions. And I'm like, I don't think it's a necessity. I think we are unnecessarily trying to create drama out of things where they probably don't need to be.
Yeah.
So really, maybe not. Maybe let's not do that. Again, there were some drivers that got fucked over. Lewis got fucked over, right? Probably Lando also got fucked over because he could have, if he had 1 lap of racing, George would have.
George was very lucky.
Yeah,
I think it would have been Lewis and Lando on the podium.
Yeah, but again, these kind of things happen, right?
The other thing though, I mean, like at the end of the day as well, I don't think, given that George was in the way and given that I think George would have been slow, I think the best we're looking at here is like Lewis goes to a P2 and George gets fucked over a little bit. So it's not like it changed things massively in my opinion either. You know, I don't see any situation in which like Lewis is getting the win here unless Leclerc really fucks up the start, like the restart. But I think it was unlikely. The other thing that Leclerc brought up that I did agree with was, I think in order to try and get things done in time, they were driving the cars like unnecessarily slowly. And Leclerc basically said his tires were like dead cold. So I think the other thing that maybe the race director and maybe the safety car guys were looking at is like, this will be a mess if everyone kicks off on like cold, freezing cold tires. You know, this will be a disaster. So
unnecessarily creating drama, right?
Exactly.
I'm not a huge fan of that anyways.
You can understand if it's a title battle at like the last race or something that they're like, we have to try and get this done. Even then, I don't think you should. And I think 2021 proved that. But like, at the same time, you can understand in that environment. But when it's a Silverstone Grand Prix and the people who are fighting for the win and the podiums aren't really apart from maybe Lewis and George. Well, actually, I guess they are. But like, they're not properly in a title fight yet. We're not there yet, if that makes sense. Like, we've still got a long way to go. So... Yeah, I think it was fine. The only thing that annoys me is the fact that they just can't seem to communicate correctly at all.
do things
Yeah,
properly.
that's the issue. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. A bit of a non-issue, I guess. Right? That's one way to put it.
Yeah.
Cool.
That said, I think you probably agree though. Even if they hadn't have said like safety car ending and hadn't have messed up the lap cars, people would have still complained anyway because they want to see George lose. I think that's basically what we're at, right?
Exactly. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
I mean, that's Formula One in 2026, right? As I said,
It's Formula One always,
George
I
Russell
think, unfortunately.
George, he's the new villain. That's
Yeah.
the whole thing.
Yeah.
And again, he's done nothing to, change that perception. He keeps saying nonsensical stuff.
Yeah. He doesn't help. Yeah.
George being George, right? So cool.
Okay.
Let's talk about the race then.
Yeah.
Charles Leclerc, he won.
Yeah.
Sorry. So by the way, first of all, from being, I think he was half a second slower than Lewis in the sprint qualifying, going from that to securing pole position on front row on Saturday and then winning the race, even though worst case scenario would have been second.
Yeah.
That's the kind of turnaround we would expect from someone like Charles. But what was your biggest takeaway from the whole execution from him?
This was the kind of this is the execution and this pace that I expected from Charles this year. So like it's odd in that like I didn't come away from that being like that was fucking amazing, because it was like just okay, service has returned to normal for Leclerc.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I think this is what we should expect from him. I also do think he got a bit lucky as well in that like if Hamilton hadn't have gotten the penalty at the start, which I think would he have won?
Jumping the...
Yeah. So would he have won? I still don't think so. I think Leclerc was the faster driver today.
Okay, yeah.
Do you think so? I think
Leclerc would have won.
That's what I mean.
Was significantly quicker.
Yeah. I still think Leclerc would have won, but I think he got a little bit lucky that like he wasn't under pressure from Hamilton for longer as well, because we know Hamilton likes this track. We know he's good at pulling something out of the bag. Who knows? Like, when you're under pressure, and we know Leclerc hasn't been comfortable in the car this year. Yeah. If that you've got sustained pressure, who knows what kind of mistake comes up, So I think he got a little bit lucky there, and then obviously he got lucky that Antonelli was out as well. So I still don't know, and this is kind of going back to like Hamilton in Barcelona. We shouldn't basically go right, everything's fixed after one race. But it was kind of a Leclerc back to normal, and I hope that's the case, because Lewis has been driving spectacularly all year. Lewis is clearly happy with the car, and Leclerc being back on form should give us some really good racing, because if Ferrari are closer to McLaren or to Mercedes and those two drivers are able to fight properly, that should be fun for us. So I hope so.
Exactly. Yeah, I think first of all, the biggest takeaway for me was the fact that Ferrari on a track like Silverstone, if it can even be competitive, I don't think it was faster than Mercedes whatsoever, but if it can be competitive, that's a big thing. It comes as a surprise, plus it shows that maybe there are things, maybe the power unit has worked. First of all, the iteration, the upgraded power unit, that has worked, plus the upgrade itself, they've also worked. So things are maybe heading in the right direction. Plus, of course, we always, whenever we are talking about Ferrari, we have to stress on one key thing, which is that Ferrari, it is out of sync when it comes to upgrades compared to compared to Mercedes and McLaren. Ferrari has brought 2 major upgrade packages already. Red Bull has done the same, but Mercedes and McLaren, they brought one. So there's still an upgrade package due for Mercedes to come and for McLaren to come. And if that reshuffles the order, it won't come as a surprise. So at least for now, again, they are making hay while the sun shines. But I think for me, the fact that Ferrari can do something like this on a track like this, where I was very, very scared.
I was shocked for Ferrari, to be honest. Yeah.
I expected them. I think we both expected them to be
we said they'd be the fourth fastest team,
or third fastest at best, right? And they secured pole position on Friday for the sprint. They were in contention for the win even then, and in this time around they didn't get the Ferrari 1-2, right? They got a Ferrari 1-3, but still very, very good. Coming to Charles, by the way, on one side, of course, it is brilliant that he's been able to put things together, because the last 5 races, they've been hell for him. Since the Miami Grand Prix, It was a 5-race stretch where he lost out to Lewis Hamilton on every single occasion. The first time he's had a 5-race losing streak against any teammate. So coming here, it was, as the weekend began, he was again around half a second slower, which is massive. So at that point, and again, this is Lewis's track. Lewis at Silverstone is just brilliant.
It's
and even
phenomenal.
last year he was quite competitive against Leclerc on this track. And I think he beat him here last year. So to make such a turnaround on this track, I think it holds him in good stead. But what it also shows is, and this is something that I've been very critical of Charles, he should not have ever been in a position where he has to significantly adapt to a car. It should have been the other way around. And the fact that Leclerc is winning his first ever race with Ferrari, 9 races into a season, I think it shows how still you can say less than optimal the entire operations are. Because from the first race of the season, he should have been ready, either through his efforts or through the team's efforts, that this driver is ready to fight for the championship from the very first race, because he's left a ton of points on the table for now. And they are ultimately, if it does end up being in a title contention, whether it does or not, it's still a long way to go. But if he does, then that's not really, then these are the races that are going to hurt him in the long run.
Yeah. Agreed. And I think the good news is, though, I think this, as you said, this is a Hamilton track. And also this is a track that like would have thrown quite a lot at the drivers in terms of like managing the deployment. The corner mix is decent here. Like it's not as crazy as some tracks, but there's a good mix of corners here. And there's a good few heavy braking zones and stuff as well. Not tons, but there's a few. So, we know brakes were a big issue for him over the last few races. So I think like the fact that he was able to beat Hamilton here, and just no matter how he beat Hamilton here, even if it was closer or whatever, even if he had been on par with Hamilton all weekend, I think that would have been like, right, okay, he's definitely getting more comfortable with the car. And I agree. I think he needs this as well, because I think, Formula One, as we know, is a confidence game, and that will be in his head now of, if you get into a car at Formula One level and you're not confident, that's a real issue, because you're second guessing yourself constantly. Like Ricardo talked about this a lot before, and it's
thinking.
Yeah, and like in a normal car, when you're thinking, not a problem, but when you're on the limit the whole time, that's a huge issue, because if you even think for just one corner instead of driving naturally, that's a tenth or two gone, then another tenth or two, and it adds up very quickly. So yeah, the fact that he was comfortable with the car is a good thing, and I'm sure he'll come away with a lot of confidence for the next one. The question will be now, I guess, in Spa, like, what's the actual deployment? Yeah, what's the deployment like? Because the deployment looked good here for Ferrari, to be fair. I still think part of it was just, we've seen this time and time again, the dirty air here and the lack of kind of slipstream, because everyone has X mode and Y mode, means you need a good amount of power differential to actually overtake. But the fact that Mercedes did struggle to like even get past the Ferrari at points, I think it
took Kimi a lot of time to overtake Lewis, right?
So I think that's a good sign for Ferrari that the engine's not as bad as it was, maybe. So.
Yeah, but they are now going to a track where it's all about the engine, isn't it?
So that's what I mean. We'll find out like how
What's
much
going
of
to
it.
happen there.
Yeah, but I think this is a good it's a good sign, because this is a track where the engine improvement would have, like, if you didn't have a good engine here, it would show up in Silverstone, which is why both of us assumed it wouldn't do great. But maybe the Austria turbo, lack of air was more of an issue than we thought it was. So
yeah, on Auto Racer, they've reported that something that we had suspected, by the way, that one of the reasons why Ferrari struggled was the thin air in Austria. It leads to the turbo not producing the same kind of, being forced to overwork. When it is overworking, it is overheating. And if the car is suffering from overheating, it leads to you being forced to do a lot of, you're being forced to implement a lot of cooling solutions. And once you're pushed into that particular pushed into a corner when it comes to having excessive cooling solutions in place, you're not running your car or your entire package optimally, and that is what hurt them.
Just in simple aero terms as well, the more air locations you have open to cool the car, the more drag you have. So just an immediate issue.
Exactly. Let's talk about Lewis then before we jump on. I think on Saturday qualifying, I think that was the first time when Lewis's demeanor slightly changed compared to Leclerc. Because if you remember in Austria again, Leclerc was second, Lewis was third. But at that point, Lewis was confident that he did the demeanor didn't really change as much, and we saw why in the race, because as soon as the race began, Lewis he overtook him around the outside, and throughout the race he had a decent advantage over Leclerc. Here the demeanor was slightly different, and I think we saw it in the race. Lewis didn't have a good one. First of all, far too many errors. In a way, he's also lucky that he keeps his podium, because the yellow flag infringement could have potentially cost him at the end the whole points finish, because I think it was if it's both a 5 or 10 second penalty, whatever he gets, he's probably screwed in that case. And then he also had the jump start, so not the best weekend for him. But even if we keep that thing aside, I don't think he had the pace that Leclerc had. For some reason or the other, maybe the setup wasn't right or whatever, he was consistently around. I think after 8 or 9 laps, the gap was around 4.5 seconds when Kimi jumped him ultimately. That's around half a second per lap, which is basically your 2025 territory.
Yeah.
Probably will make a race like Spa more interesting, which way it leans, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
it can be just with these cars, that could all be down to just deployment strategy as well. Like, for all we know, Leclerc wasn't comfortable with something on Friday, so his side of the garage changed something out slightly. Like, until we see the telemetry, we won't really know. But yeah, again, let's not jump too far though, because Barcelona, everyone was like, Hamilton's going to win the championship, and then the next race,
we weren't.
Like, Hamilton's going
to. We weren't.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, and then everyone else, and then we get to Austria, and it's like, Ferrari, you're screwed, and then we come back here, Ferrari, you're in the championship. So this is going to happen all season, I think.
Yeah, we'll talk about the championship a bit later, but there's also one detail that Leclerc shared when he got the front row yesterday. So according to him in qualifying, he revealed that he had 2 options after Austria. First was that he changes his driving style according to what Lewis is doing, so that he completely shifts to that direction. And if he does that, then ultimately for him it has to be for it to become second nature, it's going to take a lot of time. The second thing is he takes the car setup in a direction where he thinks he can make it work.
Yep.
So during the first phase of the weekend in the sprint, I think he tried the Lewis Hamilton method, where he just went into that direction, tried to adapt his driving style more towards that. Didn't work, and we saw the results. Then came Saturday, and on Saturday what he did, he said, I took the setup towards a direction where I was more comfortable. So now the car is behaving more in line with how he wants it to. As soon as he's done that, he had the edge. And again, I think the first lap in qualifying, he was clear. The second lap, he made a slight error in Q2. Then came the final lap in Q2, and again, Leclerc had the edge. Then again, Q3, once again, he nailed it in the end. So there was consistent progression from him. Whether it works or not in future, in different track layouts, I think that's where the question is going to be for him.
Yeah.
It's still a bit of a question mark.
The good news is we've got 2 extremes, right, coming up. So we've got Spa and then we've got Hungary. So that should, between those 2 and this race at Silverstone, it should give us a good idea of where those drivers sit. And I also think as well, it's great going into the summer break with those 2, because it'll also give us a good idea of where the cars all are at, kind of roughly, because obviously we've very much a power track and then basically a low speed track, not quite medium speed, but
Monaco without walls, right?
It's not really that anymore, is it? But yeah, like it was what it used to be. I feel like it's not. You know what? It could be like that again with these cars because of the lack of downforce, but it hasn't been like that recently.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
You're right. Yeah. You're right. So let's see what happens there. In the championship, we'll talk about the championship later. Mercedes, by the way, Kimi. Okay, I tweeted you. No, sorry, I pinged you this thing. Is Kimi Antonelli the best driver of 2025 or 2026?
Oh, you love upsetting those Max fans. I think, like, has he performed the best in 2026? Yeah, I think so. I think he's been the best driver overall. Do you want to say, is he the best driver on the grid? No, I still think that's Max, and I think that's because, like, Max is dealing with a lot of shit with machinery and everything else right now that we'll
A machine
probably
that
talk
wants
about.
to kill him. Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll talk about all of that, and Jos made his bed, so they're sleeping in it. But I think in terms of like who's performed the best weekend in, weekend out, and just got on with it, it's Kimi. And you know what? One thing I think I texted you as well during the race, which I loved, was like Kimi was just down and out. The whole team were basically resigned to like just come in and pit, and he just quite very calmly, even in that situation, he wasn't shouting, wasn't like pissed off, nothing.
Yeah.
He just said, no, there's still a chance of a point. I'm going to keep going for the point, basically. I'm paraphrasing, but that's roughly what he said. In times where, like, even Max, Lewis, all these drivers, we've watched them enough in the past. We've seen them in those situations. Not even some, like Lewis in the past, we've seen situations where he's just given up, and Max is on the other hand, flicking the car around, shouting, getting really frustrated and annoyed. And Kimi at 19, just calm as ever, just like, no, I'm going to keep going for this, Obviously, he was upset when he parked up at the end, but that's champion mentality, like worst of a situation and still thinking, I want to get this 1 point because it could be. Yeah. 1 point, and he thought, the championship last year was won by 2 points, so
Exactly.
1 point could make all of the difference,
100%.
It was lost by someone getting annoyed in Spain. So,
And a lot of people get annoyed in Spain. It's the weather that gets to you.
Yeah. Unfortunately,
Yeah,
I'll be there. I mean, fortunately, I'll be there in 25 days.
Yeah. It's Spain, man. It's awesome.
Yeah.
So
I'm literally flying in and flying straight to Paris. But anyway.
You're not staying in Spain.
No, I will be on the way back for a couple of days. But the way over, we're going to Paris to bring my daughter to Disneyland. So we're just going straight there. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So
Anyway.
I think he's the best driver in F1 right now. And again, it also has to do with the fact that you have Max hamstrung. But even if you get Max out of the equation for a moment, okay, Max is hamstrung, let's get him out of the equation. I don't think there's any other driver on the current grid that is showing the same level of consistency. And the thing is, every time, and again, this was something that I heard on one of the podcasts, that every time Kimi Antonelli is going to do a lap, it's going to be one of the top 3 laps on the grid. Every time. In any timed session, in qualifying, free practice, whatever, every time he's going to do a lap, he's going to be amongst the top 3 drivers in F1. Yep. Every time. And that is something, doing that with such regularity, it doesn't happen often. It probably is because the car fits him like a glove. Or it could also be that he's just continuing to elevate his level again and again. It was lap 32 on the medium tires, by the way. And he put his, what was it? His personal best lap on lap 32 of medium tires. And we had a 52 lap race. That's crazy. And George was nowhere close.
Do you know what I like about watching Kimi now as well is like, it was like 2022, 2023 after Max had won his first championship, and I said, like, when Max showed up in 22, he was, to me, a different driver. Like, a lot of that kind of aggression and the kind of silly little mistakes and getting frustrated had gone away. And as always, people will tell you, and people are going to say the same thing now, they are, I'm sure. A lot of it's down to when you have the best car, it's easy to be like that, like people will say shit like that. Yeah. But still, credit where credit was due, like he changed in terms of like the frustration level and everything. And from 2022 onwards, when Max was chasing someone down or when Max was winning, if anyone was like, oh, maybe he'll make a mistake or maybe something will fuck up, it's like, no, he won't. Like if he's in this position, he's going to win. Like, so you can't count on a Max Verstappen mistake. It is Antonelli's second season at 19. And when he was chasing down Lewis and then when he was chasing down Leclerc, not a single part of me went, oh, I hope he doesn't make an error or anything. It was just like, let's see how good the Ferrari is. That was my thought. It was like because I just assumed Kimi won't make a mistake. And that's why I thought if Antonelli didn't have the mechanical issue with the aero piece coming off and getting stuck in the suspension. Yeah. I'm not sure. Someone's going to correct me now and say he made a mistake which caused that to come off or something, probably, which I don't think he did. But regardless, my point is,
right? Yeah,
sure. But regardless, my point is, like, he is making so few mistakes now that it's hard to pick them up. which is insane. And I saw someone on Twitter being like, yeah, but he's making too many mistakes. I'm like, at 19, did you watch Max Verstappen at 19? Like, fuck off. Like, this is insane. But yeah, he's making so few mistakes. He's driving
just crazy
incredibly
right now. And
yeah,
if it wasn't for bad luck, he'd probably have 60, 70 point lead right now.
yeah,
And even at this point, so again his lead got slashed by quite a few points, by 18 points from George. So all these things are happening, and the lead continues to shrink because of no fault of his own. And during all of this, the underlying feeling is, he keeps getting stronger. There's no, and ideally, after this race, it could easily be a narrative that, okay, George, luckily he got this one, he's got points, and now maybe in the next race when he has a good one, he can maximize. That's not even the thought. The thought is George is just not able to keep up. There's nothing that seems to be happening for him where he can, and ideally he was overtaken by Max Verstappen during the race. If the Mercedes is the fastest package, it's the fastest package in the hands of Kimi Antonelli.
Yeah.
And it's not in the hand of George whatsoever. Not even close. It was probably the third fastest car.
And making George look slow is difficult. Like, he's not, like, I know he's getting a lot of shit right now, which he's the villain, as you said earlier, but like, George is not a slow driver. So making George look slow is impressive in your second season. It's kind of like, this is what everyone was hyping up for Piastri last year, right? But the difference is this feels like a driver who's just on it, and the more I'm watching it, the less George feels like Lando. Like, I don't know. Lando felt like, okay, he couldn't get to grips with something on the car, but George just seems deflated everywhere. Like, Lando was like, I'm off pace, because of the braking or whatever. And it was Lando's season last year felt closer to me to Leclerc right now than it does to George. Like, Leclerc doesn't seem fully comfortable in the car, and he's just trying to get on with doing what he can with that. But George just doesn't feel comfortable at all with anything. Like, it's like he just kind of, everything is going against him, and he was unlucky with the puncture as well, to be fair. So,
I mean, it got made up for, right, by the end of it.
Sure. Yeah. But I mean, like, he was unlucky with that too.
Yeah. There's a lot of things that are going on with Mercedes right now. And if you're Toto Wolff, how are you handling the whole situation?
I think you're probably fine in that, that like luck swings about, and that Kimi is just delivering whatever he needs to deliver. And I think, like, if you're Toto Wolff and you're watching Kimi be like, I'm going to go for this point, you're probably like, yeah, I've bet on the right horse here, And that, okay, our prime competitor at the moment is Ferrari. So you're probably laughing, knowing that, like, it's fine. They'll win a couple of races, but they'll fall apart as always. When we get to the second half of the season, they'll be disqualified for cheating or something. The usual Ferrari stuff. It'll be fine. So he's probably watching over his shoulder for Ferrari and for McLaren, but I think he's quietly comfortable that this is, he's been vindicated for picking the right driver, because I'm sure a lot of people at Mercedes were like, there was a sniff of you getting Verstappen last year, and you didn't, or like, you could have held out that space, and like, Kimi's too young, and all these things I'm sure were behind him. So I'm sure he's pretty happy right now regardless.
All of them
George is being a great
right?
number 2. Yeah.
He is. And again, a lot of, and I've seen a lot of George fans continue to get angry about the whole thing. George had some issue with the deployment in his second push lap in qualifying. He did. There was some issue.
Yeah.
But that was not the reason why he was on more than half a second slower than Kimi. It was because he didn't really get the tires up to temperature. And and again, this is nonsensical. Instead of being angry at us for pointing out the obvious, maybe just look at what's going on in the race. Everyone, you can be objective enough. And if you can't, then you can't.
I'm sorry, but like, the thing is, for me, it's like, if George was just not on the pace and he was having bad luck, which is just a huge part of it, but his attitude was a little bit different. I'd be like, fine, this happens and he just needs to get on with it.
Yeah.
But as soon as he's just not anywhere, he's just like, yeah, it's not my track, or this isn't happening, or, I wasn't comfortable today. And it's very like, I've just thrown away. Like, it's not working for me. Which, you've got a 19-year-old in the other seat who literally has a piece of carbon fiber stopping him from turning the wheel. And he's saying, as long as I can stay out here in the point, I'm going to keep going. Like that's the attitude George should be having, looking for and we praise George in Austria for looking for that with the yellow flag. Like that's what a champion does. So when he does that, we'll praise him for it. But when he just kind of floats around and goes, the car is not working for me, it's like, that's not a champion mentality.
Exactly. There was no pace today. It wasn't that he was slower than Leclerc. He was slower than Lewis. Lewis overtook him in the second stint. Both of them had the same tire life, which is nonsensical. How the hell can you let it happen? How can a Ferrari overtake a Mercedes? Especially in these regulations. Doesn't make any sense. And then even Max overtook him without much of an issue. It should not be happening in this way. There's something, again, even if he's not comfortable with the car, the gap between him and Kimi should not be in a manner where it's like half a second is easily the gap. On a bad day, it's half a second. That should not be happening. But that's where we are with him. And at some point, there's going to be a scenario. Let's talk about the championship then. First of all, currently, if you look at the top 4, you have Kimi at the top. George is now only 25. Shocking, by the way. Only 25 points behind.
Yeah.
Lewis is... How far behind is Lewis? I had put the entire list on X. Lovely. Why does this app continue to shut down like every 5 minutes? Okay, here it is. Lewis is 32 points behind and Leclerc is 71 points behind. Is the championship on?
I think I kind of stand where I stood before, which is I think there's a chance. Like there's more of a chance for a title fight for Ferrari this year than there was last year. Let's put it that way. But the thing is as well, out of all of the races so far, there's been 2 where Ferrari have been able to win, right? Mercedes have won all the rest. And out of those 2 where Ferrari has won, there's only been 1 race where Ferrari have looked the strongest. Like today, I think by rights, if everything went right, Mercedes should have been winning this race. So that's 8 out of 9 races where Mercedes is the strongest car. Yeah. And and on top of that, Antonelli's had some really bad luck. George has had some really bad luck. So I just don't think so yet, because I think if everything, like we've seen in Formula One enough over the years where luck kind of comes in waves and then goes away. So if that bad luck doesn't come to Kimi in the second half, then Mercedes should by rights walk away with this championship. So that's the negative, pessimistic way to look at it. The optimistic way is Ferrari have also done a good job catching Mercedes here. So if Ferrari can keep at the pace they're at and Mercedes don't start taking jumps, then sure, in the second half we could get a title fight on. But right now where we stand, I'm still pessimistic we're getting a full title fight. But we'll see. The next 2 races will be eye-opening.
Yeah, so the 2 factors that are important, I think, in my view. First is, how is Ferrari fast on a track like Silverstone? I think that is
impressive,
mind-boggling for me.
Yep.
It shouldn't be fast. The second is, I think we both agree it's basically 8 out of 9 races where Mercedes has had a better package, if not the fastest one. And despite all of that, Kimi is just 32 points ahead of Lewis, and he's 71 points ahead of Leclerc, who's had 2 DNFs because of reliability issues. So if it's been this one-sided, then why is the gap so small? And the reason why that is, it's because the reliability is a major concern for Mercedes right now, and it has not been solved at all. This was another race which they lost because of reliability. They've had Kimi lose I think Kimi was second in Barcelona. He lost that.
Yep.
George has had a couple of them. So what we are looking at is Mercedes is continuing to struggle because of reliability. Again, luck plays a role, but reliability as well.
Ferrari's much more reliable. Has there been a single Ferrari mechanical failure?
The Works team?
Either. Works Cadillac, obviously.
Works
Cadillacs
team
have had some issues. But yeah, Works team is at 2, is it?
Leclerc
what
has
were the
2. The brake issue in Monaco and the brake failure in Barcelona.
No, but I mean in terms of engine failures.
No.
No. Okay.
Not the Mercedes, not the Works team. Cadillac has had a few, but Cadillac also has to...
Cadillac had a couple though, but I think they were to do with other stuff as well, right? Like for example, yeah. So in terms of just the engine failing, they haven't had anything like the Mercedes have had, and the Mercedes have had it through various different customers as well. So yeah, I mean, on the other side of that, Mercedes have been able, like, if Mercedes are playing the game, which they probably are, you could say as well, that is just game theorying it out, because as Horner used to say, give me a fast car first and I'll fix the reliability. And Mercedes, like, everyone assumes the engines are just completely frozen under Aguo, but you're allowed to bring reliability fixes. And Mercedes have already brought a lot of reliability fixes. So you are better off going for performance and then bringing the reliability fixes in the long term. But it is a bit close for comfort if you think about it in terms of the course of a season, you know.
I agree.
So
I agree with you. I also think that every time I look at the Ferrari team, I don't know why I keep having this feeling that, okay, now we are going to reach a point where they start falling off. Now we are going to reach a point where they start falling off. And
we're not even at the halfway point yet. Okay.
Exactly. It's 9
You
races
watched enough Vettel to know it's the second half of the season
where things go wrong.
Yes.
And they've also, I think they've basically exhausted a large chunk of their upgrade pack, whatever their upgrade budget was. They don't really have much left. And despite all of that, they're still slower. We don't know how much the power unit upgrade is going to bring as well. Mercedes has one major upgrade package left, which is probably going to come in Spa or the race after. Everything is still in the air right now when it comes to, having a long-term vision of Ferrari challenging Mercedes. Because where we are right now, Ferrari should be a team that is beating Mercedes consistently so that they can mount a challenge. And we are still not there yet. I think that's my worry.
Yeah. The good news is, though, if they don't do the usual Ferrari falling apart in the second half of the season, they have left themselves close enough that if they do kind of get on par with Mercedes with upgrades and engine upgrades and so on, they do have a chance to fight. Like, they're not, it's not like they're so far away that it's a distant idea. Like, they're close enough. Like, what are they in the team standings? They're 255 to 333. So 80, just under 80 points, which for constructors isn't that much because you've got two cars in the fight. George has helped them a lot here.
True. Agreed. Yeah. So I think for now, and where do you think George goes from here? I think my worry is, okay, George is uncomfortable in the car. It's understandable. But the benchmark alongside him is someone, as I said, 32nd lap and he's doing his personal best times. That is demoralizing for almost everyone, that what Kimi was doing at that point. And as soon as Kimi pitted for fresh hard tires, my initial impression was, okay, let's see what he does. And boom. First lap, he was 2 seconds faster than Leclerc. Second lap, he was again 2 seconds faster. And the seven lap deficit, it became just 3 seconds. Within 2 laps. And that kind of explosive pace, George never had throughout the race weekend. And he can get lucky once or twice or thrice, whatever. But overall, I think whatever bad luck he had and whatever he could have potentially said that, okay, this is the reason why the gap is too big. All those have been neutralized now. Now it is more or less at an even keel. So now the
look has balanced, hasn't it? Very much.
Yeah.
So you can only count on luck so much, and it's balanced now, I think.
Yeah. And next race is going to be the most, you can say, that is, since it's going to be a power unit heavy track, that is one race where you're going to see the differences between which car is good or bad when it comes to their specific power units. Let's see what happens there, right? who knows? At this point, who knows how they're going to go about it. Cool. Let's talk about the team that is probably trying to kill their driver. Let's talk about Red Bull then.
So I want to just quickly note as well for people that, because I've already seen, I went on Twitter, which I occasionally do still to kind of wind people up or just say things, and immediately I went on and there was the big thing of just must be a rear wing issue, and then obviously people who don't like Max saying like the rear wing was closed. So I will say, like we pointed this out the last time, the rear wing closing, like being closed, doesn't matter, because you can have a system where if it closes a few milliseconds too late, your grip is out of whack, and that's what it looks like to me. It looks like the rear wing is closing, just it's not closing at the same rate every single time, so Max can't predict when and where he'll have grip, and then he goes to turn and the grip that he's expecting isn't there.
The rear stubbed out, which is essentially why it happens is because...
And Max is human. He can only correct so much, like there's...
It's not a driver fault in any which way. Don't even think about it.
My point is, if you flick it and the grip that you were expecting isn't there, it's not like you've got all the time in the world to go, oh shit, and put it back into place. Like, it's just, it goes and it's gone. And, Max has done some spectacular saves, but he's still human, so
exactly.
You can't correct for
Happened
that.
In Austria, happened here, happened in Australia. So we've had 3 of them.
Yeah.
In 9 races, there have been 3 massive shunts from Max. It's reaching a point where it is unsafe. Yeah, I think it's reaching a point where it is unsafe now. They have to either figure it out or bring an older version of your rear wing. Because this one is, if it is not closing properly or whatever is happening, because again, Hadjar has not had any of these issues.
No, but he hasn't been going fast enough to have them though. That's the issue.
Potentially.
He's French, they're very relaxed. They don't like to get too aggressive,
I'd say
he was born in Paris. He's French. In order to make fun of him properly, he needs to be French. He was driving great, but we can talk about him after. But I wonder, is this perhaps as well something as to why, like Ferrari have obviously had the Macarena wing for a while, and it rotates a completely different way, and the Red Bull one opens more, which gives you more theoretical reduction of drag. But I know some of the other teams were mentioning, and some of the engineers that I spoke to were constantly saying the problem with doing it the way Red Bull have is the reattachment is more difficult. And perhaps that's what we're seeing. Like the reattachment is less linear, so they're not sure when it'll reattach correctly, and it's hard to account for like all situations. If you have a big gust of wind, which it's Silverstone, and we get that at Austria as well, wind can be unpredictable. Same in Melbourne, like all the places where the wind is a bit unpredictable.
Yeah.
The reattachment isn't exactly as they expected, and boom.
It also has to do with that this entire package, and I don't care what anyone else says, this was rushed through. This is an entirely B-spec car, and it was rushed through because they had to put something on the table for Max to be happy.
Worked out well.
The reason why he's crashing is because of this. That's just what is going on. And I think the entire Silverstone weekend it essentially showed that, why we said we should really wait before anointing Max Verstappen as a title contender after Austria, because we didn't really see the car in all the medium speed, fast speed sections. Or
we laughed about this because I remember we were like, the upgrade seems to have worked, and I was like, no, it hasn't. And the two of us ended up agreeing, like, yeah, we haven't actually seen whether it works yet or not. I mean, it has improved. It has helped them jump McLaren. We don't know that.
But it hasn't. No, McLaren it has, right? McLaren was nowhere this week, just poor.
Yeah.
And
on
that front, it has improved. On that front, it has improved. But it is not really in a position where it can fight for race wins or anything beyond that. And okay, so let's put it this way. Last time around, we also talked about Max proving to be a bit toxic for Red Bull, right? The way he's going about the whole situation here, I think there's a complete dissonance with where the team is and what the expectations are. And I think that holds true for both Red Bull Racing as an outfit and Max Verstappen as the driver. Red Bull as a team, I think you also talked about it last time, that this is a team that is if you put all the variables on the table, this is a team and an outfit that has overachieved what it was capable of.
100%. Yeah.
Yes, when it comes to the power unit, that's the case. A power unit on first go, it should not be this good. The fact that they have done so, they should be applauded for it. Honestly, they should be applauded for the kind of job they've done. Secondly, the Milton Keynes outfit, they are on everyday basis, they lose resources. Every day someone is leaving. And a lot of the prominent names, when they leave, an announcement is made. But a lot of the people that have left, you don't even know.
There's tons of people who've left Milton Keynes that
Exactly.
you don't hear about at all. Yeah.
The entire outfit has been hollowed out completely. And if your aim is that you want to fight for the championship, you need to have a car and a team that is capable of doing so. How the fuck are you going to do that when you're building a power unit for the very first time? And a team that has been hollowed from within. And you're not really able to hire anyone or attract any talent because the team is toxic. In that case, this team is where it is supposed to be. If it is the third fastest car and it is getting an odd podium here and there, that's the best case scenario. It cannot get better than this. But neither Max, neither the Red Bull Racing outfit, they've not really realized this reality, and I think it's going to hit them hard. I really think so.
Horner is a super aggressive competitor, and he said when we get the new engine next year and after everything we've gone through, it's going to take 5 years to rebuild this. He's not the type of person who says 5 years for anything. He's an aggressive competitor. And there was a reason he said that, which was, we've just lost Newey. We've had a shuffle of people. We've lost the title. There's people leaving. This always happens. And we're going to show up next year and we have a brand new power unit. We've all these things to fix. We have to build back up. This is going to take time. And I hate to sound like a broken record, but Red Bull is acting exactly as a company run by a board axe in Formula One. And it's why we both say it, but it's why I constantly say this is why a board run team, and before anyone says it, yes, every team is run by a board, but they usually have someone at the top of their F1 operation who the book stops with, who goes to the board every 3-6 months and says, this is what we're doing. It's going to take another 2 years to get there. And the board says, yeah, that's cool. Work away. Those teams are the teams that win in Formula One, right? Those are the teams who can get through these tough times and come back out. They're the teams like Mercedes who fell apart in the ground effect regulation and came back. And they're the teams that prove this rule are Ferrari. And Ferrari are doing well right now because they didn't just fire Fred Vasseur. They said, right, let's just keep fucking going.
Yeah, okay, no,
happens.
wait. Yeah, I will not go as far as claiming that Ferrari.
No, I'm not. Well. No, I'm just saying they look better because of the stability. But let's see how long it goes, in my opinion.
Yeah, they look better in a 9-race period. We've not even had an entire season. We've not given them the opportunity to fall apart.
Fair enough. But Red Bull here, everything they're doing, and you pointed out, like bringing the upgrade where they brought it and so on, you're chasing short-term gains. And in my experience and opinion of watching Formula One, the longer a team chases short-term gains and doesn't think about the big picture, the bigger the downfall will be in the long term. Because you're going to basically not worry about long-term issues in order to quickly patch short-term issues. And those long-term issues are still going to... Exactly. And what's going to happen is you're eventually going to lose... Surely the board are smart enough to go, okay, this is like... Well, actually, why do I say surely? You would think the board would be smart enough to go, okay, even if we keep Max, that is a 2 or 3 year endeavor at most. What happens to this team after that? And it feels like nobody is thinking about that. And
but there's a practicality that even if you keep Max, you need to have the best possible car and you need to give yourself the best possible opportunity. But you're not really focusing on that. You're not really doing that. The entire focus of the entire team is to somehow keep Max happy. And I'm not entirely sure that's how Formula teams win or it works that way.
It's not. It's not at all.
The focus has to be right now entirely on gathering as many resources, hiring as much talent as possible, and start rebuilding things. There hasn't been that focus for a long time. Every second week, there's this question from Max, are you leaving or are you staying? After a point, it would be immaterial if he stays because the car will continue to get worse. Because you're not bringing resources. And the situation is so toxic that who is happy in this environment? Name one person who is happy in this environment. You can't. Every day it's a disaster. And Yeah, go for it.
I was just gonna say, like, Mercedes and McLaren are like perfect examples of what you should do. They tried to keep the drivers that they had. They tried to as best they could. They knew those drivers would look at other areas while they were happening. Lewis did leave, for example, but at no point did Mercedes or McLaren say, okay, fuck the long-term plan. Let's throw everything at the next 6 months and try and keep that driver. Now, you could say, sure, they're not Max Verstappen's or whatever. One of them was Lewis Hamilton, to be fair. But like, the point is, they kept saying to their drivers, we have a long-term plan, and in 24, 25, or in Mercedes' case, in 26, we will be back at the top. Do you want to stick with us on the journey or not? You know, like, we want to keep you, but our plan is long-term success. And if the driver is not on board with that, as Horner used to always say, you can, like, if a driver doesn't want to stay at a team, you can't keep him at a team. So you just have to focus on the success of the team. And Red Bull's not doing that, as you said. And that might make them look good at a race or two in the short term, but it's going to fuck the team long term. And it is, in my opinion.
I mean, just look at the entire race weekend and how it has panned out. Because first of all, the sprint and the sprint qualifying and everything, they were third or fourth fastest. That was where the Red Bull was. Then came the qualifying, and Max was out qualified by Isaac. According to Max, there were deployment issues that existed. You could see it in the telemetry, and again, that's a bit of a power unit issue. As soon as that is done, Max comes to the media, and he says that this way we should not run the car. We should
run from
change
the pit lane.
Exactly, start from the pit lane. If he had started from the pit lane, he would not have been fighting for the podium. Max, arguably, I think he had the third or the fourth fastest car, or he had the pace to be the third or fourth fastest driver. After Kimi, Charles, maybe Lewis, then it was Max. If you're in that vicinity, that is still a good enough place to be. But at no point has Max understood from where Red Bull has closed this significant gap, and I don't think it comes across in that way. There's always this lot of negativity. Again, the crash is something that's going to piss him off because now it's becoming a safety risk. But even before that, just look at how he's gone about it. He wanted them to change the power unit and throw everything out of the window. The team said, no, we are not going to do that. At the end of the day, before the race, he was again interviewed, and he again had asked the team, I didn't want to go ahead and do something on these lines. That's the quote he gave. Then came the race, and the team was being proven right.
Yep.
At that point, the call that the team made, it was the right one, and which the driver made was the wrong one. But again, this is something that I made it a point to post it on X. The fanboys don't, and there's always this one-sided abuse, criticism, and everything, and very unrealistic expectation from a team that is hollowed at this point.
Yeah.
You can't win with a team that is basically you've tied their one hand behind their backs and you want them to win and succeed. That's not how it works. And even after this race, what did we have? Again, we had the same nonsensical visual of you have Max Verstappen's manager and you have Jos Verstappen sitting and giving an earful to Lauren Mekies. Like, what the fuck are we doing? Have you not learned your lesson already?
No.
This team needs time. It's not going to happen in a day. I don't think Red Bull, even at this point, if they are sensible enough and they sit down and they have an honest conversation, this team cannot win titles at least for the next 2 to 3 years. And the trajectory they're on the trajectory of McLaren Honda from 2015 onwards, where they continue to fall down because they have Fernando Alonso at that point. Now you have Max. Fernando Alonso cannot leave McLaren at that point. Max cannot leave Red Bull. This is the reality. Now, you'll see a lot of these tweets and posts on X and even a lot of pundits. This is the breaking point for Max. After this, how can he continue with Red Bull? Where the fuck is he going to go? There's no fucking place. He can take us a
go
sabbatical.
down. He can go down the grid. So yeah, that's what he can do. And like, because he can't go to Ferrari, that's locked off. And especially after this season, Ferrari's not going to change its drivers now. There's no way. McLaren, as far as I'm concerned, I've talked to a couple of people inside McLaren to be like, look, I get Piastri's not performing well. I know they're not getting rid of Lando because, like, I know some people in McLaren and I know that they are. Yeah, but
How
I was
does
just going to
this
say, like,
not performing
no,
well?
I'm just saying, like, Lando is not going anywhere, and I know that 100%. Lando's not going anywhere. They're basically like, after last year, that's their boy. They're done with that. So the only person to replace is Piastri, and they're pretty happy with Piastri. Basically, from what I've heard out of McLaren, everyone's like, no, the car's shit, so we're not even going to talk about drivers. Like, our drivers are good enough that if we give them a good car, they'll fight for the title. And they're like, basically what I've heard is, when the car is title worthy and we're not winning a championship, then we'll think about drivers. But for right now, we're happy. And I'm like, you know what? That's a fucking pragmatic approach.
Yeah.
Pretty decent.
Exactly.
And Mercedes, Toto's boy is killing it. And the last thing Toto wants to do right now is it's not even about Max, as far as I've heard. It's the same thing I constantly said. We kept saying, he doesn't want to have the Shark Club of Max in his paddock right now, upsetting his new dream driver. So that's that. That's it. Done.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? So the only way Max can go is down. And if
Or
he was realistic,
I think,
sure, or go on a sabbatical. Yeah.
That's the only thing left. I think because, and again, it has to come down to sensibilities, right? Either you want to build with Red Bull. He has three options in my view. If I at this point I sit and think about it on a very, very, you can say, if we are being logical here. First is he can stick it. He announces the extension with Red Bull as soon as possible, so that Red Bull has enough time to attract new talent and start building things, so that they can give him better resources. That's one. Second thing is he waits it out until the Aston Martin upgrade package in Hungary and the Honda upgrade package in Zandvoort. Once both of them, because it's supposed to be worth around 2.5 seconds, even then it won't be enough, which is another story altogether.
Yeah.
But even if that is happening at that point, if both those upgrades work, Aston Martin would be one of the top 5 teams at that point. If that is the scenario, then that team is surging at that in that particular scenario. Then he can move. Then he can maybe bet on Aston Martin. Look, they have Adrian Newey. They will have probably Jonathan Wheatley is also joining, and you have Enrico Cardile. There are other key members. There's Honda. So there's a lot of, you can say, familiar faces, and he can make a move there. If that door is closed as well, he takes a sabbatical. I think that there's a serious possibility that he takes a sabbatical, because the way he's going about it with Red Bull, I think first of all, he's not realistic. His expectations are not where they should be. And if they aren't, he'll continue to get frustrated, and at one point he'll take a call that, okay, fuck it, I'll take a year off. That's what he said when he crashed. He said, fuck this car, fuck it.
Yeah.
That's the level of frustration.
Yep. I think, I don't know. It feels like the whole top part of the team is just unrealistic, to be honest. Like it's not just Max, it's Minslav and the guys up top as well. Just, you know, it does go back to, like, I think they are almost exactly like Verstappen fans. It's like, you know, it's like the old thing, you know, that they're going through. What was it? When you're 5 years old, daddy can do everything. When you're 15, daddy can do nothing. And when you're 25, you're surprised by how much daddy has learned in the past 10 years.
Yeah.
And I wonder if they're thinking that about Horner right now. You know, in 2024, Horner could do nothing. You know? And now they're probably like, oh, this might have. They won't admit that problem, but it was just stupidity to remove him. And this is a better version of exactly what I thought would happen. I thought Red Bull would end up in a worse place this year than they were, because I thought there's no way they're going to have a really good engine.
They'll win races. I never thought they'd win races.
Actually, you're right. Yeah. No, I thought they would sneak a couple of wins at the start, which they didn't. But
you forgot. You forgot that you need bold strategies to do that, and the one who used to be the one responsible is gone.
Yeah. So fire Vache, I think, is the obvious option, right?
That was the thing, right? So I posted this thing that around exactly 12 months ago they got rid of Honor, and we are at a point where I think again it's reaching a point where again they'll be like, something's gotta give, some radical decision needs to be made, because fucking hell, in Formula One, radical decisions are the one that help you win championships. This is
instability is what wins championships, right? 100%. It's just...
Has a driver ever completely wrecked a team before he left? in Formula One history?
I'm sure there is many, but I'm struggling to think of one.
Yeah.
Like, Hamilton with McLaren.
No,
I'm
I don't
joking.
think Lewis had a role to play there.
No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
No, I'm struggling to think of one. I mean, Ferrari fell apart when Schumacher left, basically, but that was due to more than just Schumacher. Like, Schumacher didn't run it into the ground; he left.
That was Luca de Montezemolo.
Yeah. But my point is more like Schumacher left, and then like the key people that he had built up with him kind of went with him.
Yeah.
So that's obviously they all went to different places, but that dream team fell apart, and that's ironically what's happening with Red Bull right now. Except it's not coming from the driver; it's coming the team principal left, and the rest of the people are basically like, okay, it's time to go. And the thing is, people would be like, oh yeah, but they lost people before that. But it's like, yeah, but teams always kind of lose a couple of people who've been there for decades anyway. Like, that's just going to happen. Yeah. But it's the amount of people inside, like you pointed out earlier as well, that like aren't talked about. That's a different thing. That's, that's again, every big player leaving within 18 months.
It's just
actually,
that,
every big player leaving within 12 months, right? Like, because before Horner was kicked out, but before Horner was kicked out, it was Newey, basically.
Wheatley. I'm forgetting the third name. The one that has joined McLaren. Actually, a lot of them have joined McLaren.
Rob Marshall obviously left before. But,
he left.
Will Courtney.
Yeah.
But since he's left, you've got GP's on his way out. You got Paul Monahan's gone, right?
It's not necessarily who are leaving at the top. The problem
it's all
that
the interim
faces right now is that So earlier, what was going on was the toxicity was at a very upper level, on a very surface level. So Newey left. Newey was more or less going to leave at that point because the structure was already built.
Newey was supposed to be part-time at that point anyway. Like, Viache was basically taking his place, was the whole idea of that. So
exactly.
Yeah. And he just left at the worst time. That's all that changed.
One of the problems, and again, a lot of people are going to jump in and say, okay, you guys are being Horner fanboys, but that's just not the reality. And I've had a couple of Max fans, one of them an F1 creator who has a decently big account, and he pinged me, he said, you are running this agenda against Max. I don't give a fuck about any agendas or any such thing. At the end of the day, the reality is, if Max does well, we praise him. We've praised him like anything. And I've defended him when he's been a target of nonsensical criticism. But when he's doing the wrong thing, you're going to hear it from me. He's one of the architects of Red Bull's complete debacle right now. And you cannot, if you're going to be blind to that, then you're being a fan. And again, you're free to be a fan. Don't come up to me and tell me that I'm running agendas or anything. I'm not. And I was recently called a cult LH person because I praised Lewis. And
it wasn't was this someone being serious? Because I call you cult LH, but that's a joke.
Someone being serious.
That's
you
hilarious.
cult LH people, you don't understand the value that Max brings. Come on. So it's nonsensical. Anyways, coming back to the whole,
if you're a Verstappen fan, you can call us Horner fans all you want, but look yourself dead in the mirror and ask yourself, is this Red Bull better than it was before Horner left? The answer is no. Simple as.
Exactly.
So
moving on. We went a bit long on this particular segment. McLaren.
It's a fun one. Yeah,
it was. Disappointment?
Yeah, I'm surprised by because I was wrong.
Okay, let me set the table for you because I think you might not be aware of it. During the broadcast on Friday and on Saturday, Zach Brown was on. He was on F1
TV.
So he revealed that McLaren currently is a spec behind almost everyone else. So since Miami, they've not brought anything. Miami was 5 or 6 races back. So the problem McLaren faces, either it is, and by the end of the season, we are probably going to find out which team had the better approach when it comes to either front loading the entire upgrade thing or waiting until, or spacing it out in a manner that they still have something by the end of the year. We're probably going to find out which one works by the end of the season. But it seems that the McLaren strategy is, okay, we are going to space it out. So the next upgrade, We are not 100% sure, but it might come in Hungary. So that might be an important one, because even right now, I think in sprint they were 3 or 4 tenths behind. They went in the wrong setup direction on for the Grand Prix segment, because Lando was around 8 tenths off, and then in the race he was nowhere.
Yeah.
But the problem for them is races are running down now. It's 9 races and they're still nowhere.
That's the big issue. Like, I assumed that McLaren would catch up a lot faster than this, if I'm honest. But yeah, I mean, it just kind of is what it is. And it seems like this was kind of something they thought they'd have to deal with early on. And I think Lando and Piastri are probably getting a little bit annoyed that it's taking as long as it's taking, which is fair enough, you know, like they're going to. But I think it's taking a little bit longer than expected. I thought it'd be quicker than this.
Yeah.
That being said, you know, new regulation set, they've had to probably deal with engine issues they didn't think they'd have to.
Yeah.
And then on top of that as well, we know they put more into last year than, you know, running them up to the end of the season, which probably took more away and put things on the back foot for this year as well. So, yeah, let's see. I think you're right in terms of there's two things we'll see from this, because if this does end up with them having the fastest car by the end of the year, and then maybe having the fastest car in 2027 and ending up kind of running away from there, if they end up missing out on one title for 2 or 3 in the regulation set, then you can say in hindsight that, oh, well, that actually wasn't that bad of an idea, you know? So I guess we'll have to see. But I think in terms of them fighting for a title this year, they're not out yet because there's still a long way to go, but it's certainly at the point where if at Hungary onwards they don't have the best car, or at least a car that can fight for a win every weekend, the title's kind of over from there. It'll just be too far back from that point, I think. But we'll see.
I think even if they play the long game that, okay, they are targeting 2027, because even that could be a target, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even then you need to be at a place where, because this was the first weekend where Lando was a bit agitated. He was on the podium for the sprint. He could have potentially be on the podium for the main race as well. But the pace is the reality, and the pace is just not there. You have to, in the worst case scenario, you should be a podium contender. In the best case scenario, you should be winning every race, right? Yeah. So the fact that they are just adrift of the whole thing, I think that's where they're going to have a few issues. I think that the biggest problem that they're going to face, it's probably going to be their power unit thing.
Yeah.
They're still around they're losing around 10th and a half to Mercedes on the straights. They don't have the same top speed. And at some point they have to question that, okay, is this the approach that's going to continue beyond the season and for the next 4? Because the power unit development is not going to stop. And if it is not going to stop, it means every season at the start of the year is going to be a new power unit, and they'll have to go through the entire cycle again of learning how it's going to work and everything. They are in a bit of a tough situation, right? When it comes to just not only because they are the customer team, but also because it seems that the approach that they've taken, they're backloading a lot of their upgrades, and if it doesn't work, then the questions would be asked: what's going on? Yeah.
You know, same time though, they just off the back of 2 constructors and a drivers' championship into a brand new regulation set as a customer, so. You know, they should be doing better, I think.
Once you stop winning, you know, that's the problem with Formula One. Once you stop winning, it doesn't come back easily.
It takes time. Yeah, definitely. But I think also it's only been 9 races. Let's give them a little bit more time, I think. Yeah. I was expecting them to be better than this, but perhaps those expectations are just too high after like putting everything into being last year, basically.
Team as well. I think being a customer team is what hurts them a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see where they go.
Could be worse. They could have a Honda engine, so
could be. Talking about the Honda engine, by the way, Aston Martin, so reports and everything that have been shared by now, and I think it was Scott Mitchell or Chris Midland, either of the two, that have seen the whole reporting and everything, and according to them, the upgrade overall, it's going to be around 2 seconds is what they're expecting the car to make the jump.
Yeah.
And the power unit, they're expecting at least half a second jump from the power unit. That's a 2.5 second jump by Zandvoort. But the first iteration will come in Hungary. And if that 2-second jump is there, they should be. Where should they be? Ideally, they should be within a second of the benchmark.
Well, they were 2.8 seconds off of Esteban Ocon in Q1 yesterday. So
Yeah, but this race is a bit weird one when it comes to
yeah, I know. I'm just saying, if they if it's anything to go by this one, they won't even be out of Q1. So that's an interesting one. Yeah.
I think they're 3 to 3.5 seconds behind. That's the figure that Alonso has shared. The fact, if they can make the 2-second jump, let's go with the best case scenario. If they make the 2.5 second jump, where would they be ideally in this race weekend? I think they're going to be fastest car.
Yeah, I think it depends on the race weekend, but depending on the race weekend, they'd be fighting with Audi and Alpine, basically, and maybe Racing Bulls, depending on the weekend. Yeah. So you'd be fighting for the top of the midfield is what you'd be fighting for. I still don't think that's enough to get them near to the front guys, but if they can make that step, if they can make that step, it's basically a show of, we fucked up at the start, but we brought Newey in, and everything we've been saying about like the disaster behind the scenes was true, but we fixed it. Like if they bring 2.5 seconds, it is very much of, we fixed the main issues we had, and now we're ready to fight forward. Like that would be a big statement, I think.
But the problem is also that a lot of teams. So Ferrari has closed almost more than a second deficit that it had to Mercedes, right? So if Ferrari can do that within a season where it is consistently bringing upgrades, and it started on a much higher, you can say, foundation, then for Aston Martin, there are a lot of low-hanging fruits anyways. So 2.5 seconds, if they can achieve it, I think it would be good. But again, for me, the thing with Aston Martin is if they are not able to do that, that is when I think if they're not able to do that, Alonso walks. 100%.
Maybe it depends on how bad it is, how far off it is. Like if they jump a second
if they make just a second jump, because by the way, Cadillac has already made a 1.5 second jump this season.
Yeah. So
when you put these things into perspective, that Cadillac has already made this much of a jump, then it makes you think that, okay, if they are making this big a jump, then where are we when it comes to the whole
I don't think Alonso walks regardless, though. I still think Alonso's got everything to gain and very little to lose from just sticking around for one more season.
But
basically.
The question is, if the upgrade doesn't work, questions would be raised of Newey as
well. Yeah, sure.
No,
but I mean,
my thing is, then at that point, Lawrence Stroll is not going to sit in the background and just let things run the way they are. Just a reminder, Christian Horner has been in conversations with Aston Martin, and even I've had a chat with a few people. It is serious. I don't know what happened with the whole the BYD thing. So, but there are serious negotiations. But again, the sticking point continues to be the same. He wants a stake within the team. So because look, Lawrence I think he gave how much? 5% stake to Newey? How much is it?
Yeah. I think it's closer to 3%, to be honest. I don't think it's that big.
3%.
Yeah.
So
still a large amount
which is a lot. 3% of a billion, but
someone give me 1%
a lot of.
Someone give me 1% of a Formula One team. I'd be pretty happy.
Give me 0.1% of it. I'll take it.
No, I want the 1%.
No, I'll take it. I'll take it and I'll keep it for a while. So when it comes to that, I think. So sorry, coming back to Horner, he's not going to be happy with 3 or 5%. He's going to want around a 5 to 10% stake.
At least.
Yeah. And if that is the case, will Lawrence be able to... Because again, his ego comes into the picture, right? He's also someone he's stuck in there are two battles that he's fighting right now. First is there are continuous questions being raised about Lance, even within the squad, that he's doing nothing. And he's a bit of a deadweight when it comes to... I don't think anyone noticed this race weekend. He consistently ended up having, and this was flashing on the top of the screen.
Yeah, penalty after penalty.
He continued to have it again and again and again. He doesn't give a fuck on the track. That's how he's going right now. And if that is the scenario, then why is he even a part of a team like this?
It's just time he needs to go, but he's not going to. Unless, like, the thing for me is, I just think Alonso doesn't leave for 2026. Sorry, Alonso doesn't leave for 2027 unless someone is forcing him out that they have a better replacement for. And I think the only reason I say that is because it's still like Newey at the team. If Horner does come in, even if Newey goes out but Horner comes in, that's a big like, ooh, I wonder how that will go. Like there's going to be a lot of questions there.
If Horner comes in, then if Horner comes in, Newey is not going to go. But the thing is, Newey's power within the team will
deflate.
Diminish. Yeah. Because currently, let's be honest, Newey pushed out Andy Cowell.
Yeah.
Which is a disastrous call, by the way, but he did.
Mm-hmm.
So if he has that kind of a power, then you should ultimately show the results. And if that upgrade doesn't work, that would be the point where
I just don't like. The main reason I'm saying is I just think Alonso will look at this as, what's one more year? I'll try it out. I'm still driving well. Maybe we'll get better. It can't possibly get much worse. And I'll get I'll get $60 million. Yeah. And it's like, right? I'll get $50-60 million to race again. And there's a chance Newey in this after a full year with the team and like looking at the issues, figures everything out. And suddenly next year I'm fighting for podiums in my last season and I get $60 million to do it. Like, or what are the other options? He leaves F1 and gets no money, right? And has to spend time at home with a kid screaming at 18 months. That's a big. I love my kid, but that, if someone said to me, you could be fighting in Formula One or getting woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Cars, by the way.
Yeah, or getting woken up repeatedly at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, I definitely would have taken the Formula One car during that. So I'm just, especially if they're like $60 million for doing it, for the pleasure of it as well. Yeah. So, because I'm sure the wife would have understood if I said, look, I won't be here, but here's 30 million quid. Enjoy that while I'm away, I think it would have been fine. So I just don't like the other option is leave Formula One or go somewhere else. And where else do you go?
I mean, not even that. So. I'm saying just when it comes to the whole Aston Martin structure, I think if the upgrade doesn't work, there are going to be changes. I think the probability... Sure. I think regardless, I won't be surprised if you see the Horner announcement made soon. There are 2 weeks now. Horner came in for 2 reasons. First was he had to make an appearance. His book there's this book launch.
It's out in October. Drive, I think it's called.
Yeah. So... What a fuck!
I think it should have been called bullshit.
Yeah,
would have been so much better.
Or a cunt. I mean, honestly,
Jesus. I'm sure there's a better name here somewhere, isn't there?
There has to be.
Dutch sandwich.
If you guys are watching until now, let us know. What name would you give a Christian Horner book? That would be something.
My favorite WhatsApp group would have been amazing. Yeah.
My favorite WhatsApp group.
Getting the finger out.
Fix your fucking car.
Yeah. Getting your finger out would have been great.
Oh, no. Yeah. I think that would be, touching a nerve.
Number 1 and number 2 with Yoss in Benetton gear as number 2 on the cover would have been amazing. There's so many ways. It's Horner. There's so many ways he could have wound people up. But I'm sure the book will sell regardless. I don't think it's going to be an issue.
100%.
Sure. Yeah.
Anyway, the reason why he was here, first was this, second was the meeting with Lawrence. He wanted to have an in-person thing and whatever it was. So that's also being taken care of. So something is going to happen.
If Lawrence can get Horner without fucking up anything with Newey, like if he could pull that off, I think a lot of that would give Lawrence would be like, you know what? You can keep your son at the team. Well done. Be like a fair enough.
Nah,
this almost balances out.
Nah, it doesn't.
Almost.
It's Lance.
If he can, if he can bring Horner in, not lose Newey, and send his
highly likely could happen.
And send his kid off to fucking tennis camp.
Yeah, perfect.
Beautiful.
Perfect.
100%. Or Le Mans. He's got the Aston Martin brand. Just chuck him in Le Mans.
Yeah. They're supposed to run in 27. Right?
Yeah, Stroll would easily win Le Mans. Like he's a backmarker Formula One driver. They always win at Le Mans, so it'll be fine.
Could be
right, so that's Verstappen fans, Stroll fans, WEC fans. Okay, who else do we need to insult today?
Yeah. Anyone that has a thin skin, it seems.
Yeah. Anyone who gets upset. Cool. Yeah.
Seems like
So,
it. Cool.
yeah.
Let's talk about the... Where are they? So, fan questions or subscriber questions. Let's just go through them. There
Let's
are quite
jump
a few,
in.
by the way. And by the way, thanks, guys. I only gave a 1 hour notice. I mean, we had to record it a bit earlier. But
Yeah.
only in an hour notice, we had quite a few. So, cheers.
Awesome. So Connor Reckoner, when did Antonelli's radios turn into such entertaining comedy? Finally, Russell faced some luck. Fully deserved.
In a way, yes. In a way, yes.
yeah.
Because I think from now onwards, neither Kimi nor George can say that, okay, luck was not on our side.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
more or less evened out now. George
Yeah.
had a couple of them, and even Kimi has had a couple. So
Basically,
it's more or less
yeah.
equal out. Yeah. Next,
Alexander says, I want Massey back.
we all
Very
do.
good.
We all
Yeah.
do.
Bring back Massey and Bernie as well while you're at it. I'm just going to jump into the comments in YouTube Studio because I think they're out of order otherwise. I think that's the issue if I go.
No, just simply do one thing. Sort them by newest first. So we'll have the same order.
Yeah, they're the same. It's because I was in YouTube, not on the Studio app, and they're ordered differently depending on where you look at them, I think.
No, they will.
Or maybe I just didn't order. It's fine.
Yeah,
Anyway.
just sort it. So I'll take the next
Shantanu?
one. You can. Yeah. Go for it.
Yeah, okay, cool. Okay.
George Russell is
George
winning the
Russell is winning this championship. Well, I mean, your optimism must be through the roof, pal. No, he could well still win the championship. Like, it's very early, and he is a very good driver.
If
and
what happened in this race, if we take a look at the last 3 races, how many points is George Russell?
45, I think.
That's how much deficit is covered.
I think so. If I count correctly.
Oh yeah, he was 70 points behind.
Mm-hmm. So I think it's
Okay.
it's 40 something anyway. I think it's crazy. So yeah, I look, if George wins the championship, either way, it means we've had a good fight the whole way through.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm okay with it. So who's actually on the chopping block here at Red Bull Racing? I think it's not Laurent Mekies.
Wait. Read the whole thing.
Oh, surely it's Max Verstappen because clearly the car is there. He's just not delivering results, but his teammate is and is even faster than him. Bravo, sir. That is fantastic.
Exactly. You deserve.
That is fantastic pot
This
stirring.
is a perennial, blatantly biased podcast.
Big bit
listener.
of thunder just went off there, literally, as I said.
Wow. Did Claudia do something to? Did Claudia do something to piss off Trump or something?
No, I think Minslav is flying overhead or something. Or I'm about to get
Maybe
a
it's
WhatsApp
yours.
message from Yoss. Yeah, Yoss is going to leak my WhatsApp messages. Oh no. I mean, who's on the chopping block here? If Max
Nobody.
leaves, nobody. But if he doesn't and he decides to stay,
Then
I think
everybody.
Yeah, I think if he decides to stay, the problem is that after every Silverstone, they need to do one sacrificial lamb. That was the rule last year.
Yeah.
So who they're going to put on the Aztec altar this year, I'm not sure. I'm thinking it's
Vache.
probably Vache. Yeah. It's got to be Vache, right? Because you can't kill a woman, so Hannah Schmidt's fine. And you can't kill
I mean, look,
Mekies
it's
because
yours.
he's basically a puppet. So
I mean, look, it's
you
yours,
know.
so he doesn't discriminate, right?
that's true, yeah. He doesn't hold back his punches. But anyway. So I would say Vache, unfortunately.
Yeah,
But
I agree. Oiris, okay. So do you think the safety car restarts should happen directly after the lap cars have gotten out of the way to make it faster? Or do they really need to catch up to the back? So go for it. Go
ahead. No, I was just gonna say they don't need. They actually don't need to catch up right to the back. That's not under the regs at all.
It wasn't supposed to
But-
be. They changed it.
but you
this,
don't-
This was the thing they changed, by the way. This was the thing they changed after Abu Dhabi 2021.
So
Because
the
if you
FIA sat down
remember-
and went, "I've got a plan. Let's make this worse."
How
That
I
is
would
so
want
French.
is exactly how I would want is I would go back to the original one and keep it the way it was, where even if the cars have not caught up, tough luck. They're not supposed to. They're lapped. They're getting back on the same lap. They should be happy.
Yeah,
now.
exactly. Yeah. Those fucking cheese-eating surrender monkeys always make it worse. Should track limit penalties not apply when there's an obvious malfunction in the car and it is slowly limping around? Yeah, I mean, in most cases, I'm obviously, you can take the piss, but I think
he's
it was
talking about
very
the Kimi thing, right?
Antonelli. Yeah, and I think Like in most cases, I think it should be fine.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, you've got a penalty for if you think they're driving dangerously. You've got black and white flags if you were like, that car shouldn't be on track. It needs to come in and pit and fix this.
Yeah.
But that wasn't the case. It was just an error, and Mercedes were figuring it out, and it wasn't in a dangerous situation, and they came in and all these things. So I think that penalty was harsh personally, but
I think ideally should have been if you had my way. If I had it my way, I would have basically had which flag is it? The orange flag?
black and white, isn't it? Or
Yeah,
the orange meatball flag. That's the one.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that one, because for the very simple thing, he had no clue. He didn't really have any confidence what was going to happen when he broke.
Yeah.
So whenever he pushed the brake pedal, and every time he was just going straight. If that is happening in your car, that shouldn't be running.
That's what it does annoy me, is that Mercedes aren't going for right of review, Toto has said, which I'm kind of like, why do you not just try it? You know, like Red Bull and other teams, those teams that were aggressive, well, old Red Bull and like Alpine under Flavio and those teams, they try it because you've got nothing to lose, you know, like, and what, a few quid, like you're going to lose some money. Who cares? Like, just go and try it, you know?
Yeah.
Anyway, guest C6. What happened to Lewis' pace from Friday?
6C.
His sprint. What did I say?
C6.
Sorry. I was thinking of C4. I was exploding things. What his sprint quali lap from Friday was faster than his best lap in main qualifying from Saturday with a much evolved track. I think you already kind of went through this in the.
Yeah. So specifically for Lewis, the thing that didn't really work for him was not necessarily didn't work for him. So Ferrari, they took a concerted call where they took some pace out of the single lap because they wanted to concentrate on the race trim. And we saw it in the race trim with Leclerc, at least, that they had the decent long run. They didn't really have it in qualifying for that very reason. Otherwise, if you remember, Lewis and Kimi were neck and neck throughout in the sprint thing. Ferrari pulled it back a bit because they saw what happened in the sprint, where once Kimi was gone, I think he pulled off 5 or 6 seconds of a gap.
Yeah. Next one you'll like. Vince 1988 and Leclerc wins another lucky race. Has this guy ever won on his own merit? I feel like he can only win when the quicker cars break down. I think, Vince, the problem with this comment is you've already answered your own question. If there are quicker cars on the grid, you're not winning on your own merit. You're pulling it out of the bag. So by your own definition, he could only win if he got, like, what you're saying is, I don't know what you're saying. Because if the, like, why doesn't Max Verstappen win with the slower car?
I think it might be in a, how should we say it? He's kidding. It seems that he's kidding. Yeah.
Maybe, yeah. I was like, I think you've answered your own question here.
Yeah.
Like, why doesn't Lewis or Max or Piastri or any of these guys win in a slower car? What's Formula One?
Ahmed Fabli, right?
Yeah.
We really need an explanation from Pierre Vacher why the race start are still a problem and why there are rear wing issues since the upgrade. Okay, so the race start is not necessarily something that comes under Pierre Vacher. It is
Fire
more
Vacher.
to do. Sorry, yeah. Fire him and see what happens.
But yeah, sorry. Go ahead. Yeah.
No, it's fine. So the rear wing issue is, again, I think it comes down to you introduced a mega upgrade package. And when you're going to do that at one race, there are going to be parts that are not completely correlated. And we are seeing the impact of that.
Yeah.
When it comes to the race starts, the thing is, when Max has a bad one, it gets over highlighted because every Racing Point team is suffering from it. Lindblad had a poor one in the sprint. Similar reasons. And this is going to happen anyways, right? You have to understand, this is a brand new team when it comes to the RBPT, and this is the first time they've put together a power unit, and every optimization on that front, there are going to be chinks, man. You have to understand.
They've done a
that.
great job, like a really good job.
Yeah.
The technical,
comparing
the
them with
engineering.
Mercedes, they're not going to do good.
Milton Keynes did a really good job. This is their first ever engine. Like, this is incredible. This is an incredible job. If Verstappen wasn't there, we would all be going, fuck, Red Bull have done a decent job this year.
Yeah.
You know? Because Lindblad would be winning races. We all know this. To Colapinto going from P19 to P9.
He beat Gasly, right?
He beat Verstappen.
But he also beat Gasly, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
I think he
did,
finished ahead of Gasly.
I'm pretty sure. He was ahead of Gasly at one point anyway.
Yeah,
Let me
I
just
think
double
he
check.
beat him. And he
If
was
not, it's sabotage. Let me find out. Yep, he beat Gasly.
exactly. And he was
Yeah.
behind him for a while.
He started
at the start of the race, he was
P19.
behind. Yeah.
And Gasly started what, P11? P15?
Yeah.
Still, yeah, Gasly's washed. That's why you don't put the French in charge. You know?
No, Gasly is not washed. Gasly is a brilliant driver, and Colapinto is beating him.
Yeah, but I'm trying to like that's not what fanboys normally say. They like to have their cake and eat it too, you know.
Yeah.
But like Colapinto this weekend was the epitome of a Verstappen. He finished ahead of Verstappen, and during was it sprint qualifying or qualifying? I can't remember which. He spun the car exactly like Verstappen did in Austria. So he's just emulating a great driver. He's just fantastic.
Just doing it a bit better.
Yeah, exactly.
When do you guys think Audi is going to challenge Racing Bulls? The car is much better now, that is for sure. But they still have... The thing is, your three teams at the front of the midfield, they are Alpine, Racing Bulls and Audi. And Audi has made a jump. We need to see what the Racing Bulls and Alpine bring. Because Alpine is struggling with whatever upgrade they brought. So
yeah.
Audi is struggling because of the power unit. That's the reality. And if they are going to bring a mega something big in 2027, which they are saying, if they do that, then they will be the fifth fastest team in 2027.
It's simple. Look, Racing Bulls have the best engine, and Verstappen just can't win with it because he's not a good driver. So, you know, Pierre Vacher built a bad chassis.
It's the Racing Bulls, by the way, not Red Bull.
Yeah. No, I'm saying Jody Egginton built a better chassis and they have better drivers. Lindblad is the GOAT. We all know this. It's fine. 4. What the fuck with the FIA blaming software issues? Just admit you guys made a mistake.
Why?
I agree, but I believe that their software has been built completely by Claude. And I will just say to anyone from the FIA watching right now, if you are having software issues, go to HassettStudios.com, book a fit call, and we'll be happy to look after upgrading your systems. Connor Reckoner, when did we already read that one because of the order. Yeah. So I am noob.
Okay.
Another rear wing issue again for Max, skill issue. See how the weekend went already. Do you think this is the breaking point for Max and RB? Great pod, by the way, especially bald guy. Oh, thanks. Thank you.
Okay, the thing is, even if it is the breaking point for Max and Red Bull, where the fuck is he going to go? That's your answer.
This genuinely, because we've given our opinion on this, but do let us know in the comments, like, if you're listening this long, I'm sure you have an opinion. Please let us know in the comments where you think he can actually go. Yeah. Not where you should think he goes, because if you were saying that it's an easy one, Mercedes is the obvious choice. But where you think he can go and could go, would be interesting. Flaky. I kept watching Antonelli's car over the last weekend, and he clearly has a really agile and nimble car, which nobody else has. Why Russell hasn't figured that out is beyond me. He seemed to have a really soft rear, I noticed. So yeah, I don't hype up Antonelli too much with his setup advantage. Case in point with Verstappen once again, if the car isn't glued and on rails, he crashes out. Which brings me to McLaren. Before we get onto the McLaren bit, I will say as well, I do think perhaps a lot of George's issues, and we talked about this last time, is that he adapted himself massively to the rear end of the last cars. Yeah, and these cars they're not like Sergio Perez. They don't have a lot of rear end. They're not like Lewis Hamilton's girlfriend. They don't have a lot of rear end. So maybe this is a lot of adaptation, and obviously Kimi doesn't need to adapt there, and Lewis didn't bother to adapt, so it's not affecting him either. So yeah.
Brings me to McLaren.
Their car and how their drivers drive it is very smooth, like how they did last year when they had the pace and could trust and count on it. But right now, a more nimble car seemed to bring the pace, which kind of explains why Hamilton is much more comfortable since he drove with 2007 cars and so on. Thoughts? Sorry for the occasional drunk text wall. No problem. Never apologize for drinking. It's part of my national heritage.
Okay.
So, but yeah. I do think there is something we said, like, you know, obviously Piastri and Norris had the best cars for the last couple of years, nearly, like 18 months maybe. And like you could say maybe it is a case of like Russell, Leclerc, these guys adapted so much to those cars that it's just taking them longer.
What he means is specifically the car behavior as well. And McLaren does looks very, how should we put it, very smooth in the way it is being driven right now. There's also this element that since it doesn't have a lot of downforce as such, so the drivers are always worried about the car stepping out. Maybe that is also playing a role. And their qualifying laps they never look very aggressive at all. Just like Ferrari's do. Ferrari is always, it seems, right on the edge of how it's going to be, driven. Could be. Okay. It could be playing a role.
Maybe. Yeah. O'Aries says, was it the same rear wing issue on the Red Bull that caused the crash in Austria?
Yes.
Believe so. Yeah. And if so, how is it possible they haven't fixed it yet?
It's been 1 week.
It's been a week. So that to be fair. And also as well, I think this is going to be a big issue because if it is to do with the reattachment of that wing, I think like I was saying earlier, it could be a situation where that's very, very difficult to model in a simulator because it's to do with gusts and different wind directions and stuff like that on the reattachment. And you have two options. You either try and fix it on the track, which means getting a lot of data and then fixing it over like 3 months, or you take that rear wing off and lose a ton of performance pretty much overnight. So I think they're in a really tough area.
Just a reminder, by the way, their Macarena wing was not there in Australia, and even there they struggled with the same thing.
In Australia, though, that spin was to do with the rear wheels locking up, though, I think, right?
Oh, the rear stepped out. I remember.
But I thought that was to do with a drive, like a deployment issue, basically. I don't think it was the rear wing.
I don't remember.
I'd have to look back again, though. It's a long time ago, so.
But I'm old now. Three significant crashes, which is and he's right. Are we in danger of a serious accident happening to one of the greatest of all time, or is the problem only on Max's car, a concerned Hudson?
Are we in serious danger of an accident happening to one of the greatest drivers of all time, or is the problem only on his teammate Verstappen's car? He's saying the greatest driver of all time is Hajar. Agreed.
I like what you did there.
I think Clapped pointed out something very astutely on X recently, that they need to go to Peru, I think it was they were saying, and wash the bad juju off of the number 3. And I agree. I'm starting to think that actually all of Ricciardo's problems weren't anything to do with his on-track performance, and they were all to do with the number 3. Yeah. So I think that's And Max had 33. And we all know 2 curses out, they cancel each other out. So clearly, I think that's the case. Who are the Waylon Bocephus. Who are the type of drivers who succeed at Ferrari? I noticed the sort of guys who just show up and drive fast with passion tend to struggle there. Yeah, poor Vettel, eh?
Yeah, who are the type of drivers who succeed at Ferrari? I think we have a data of 50 years in which there's only one driver that has essentially succeeded. I mean, even Kimi also won the championship, but it's essentially one driver, who is Michael Schumacher. And he does show up and drive fast, but without passion probably. But even he was a passionate one. It's not really, it's got nothing to do with that. It comes down to the team environment and the entire, the structure that exists. And I'll be honest, I still don't think they have the right one. Yeah.
No, and unfortunately, Ferrari's issue is very rarely the drivers. It's usually the team. And the people who get around that are the people who can mold the team. And I think Vettel tried, but he tried it at the wrong time and it didn't work for him. Yeah. Whereas Michael was able to come in and bring his people with him and build a team up inside of Ferrari. And they built it up in a way where Jean Todt basically backed them up on everything. And that is basically, Michael did a lot of the work on track, but most of the work was done behind the scenes, getting the team to just become the Michael team instead of becoming Ferrari, basically. Yeah. And
because, a lot of times this is said that, Michael won because Ferrari had a lot of money. Ferrari had the most money and they had their own private track. Well, here's the thing. Ferrari did have the money and they did have the private track for 20 years before Michael even jumped into the team. So if that was the only thing that was going to help you succeed, why did they not?
Why didn't they beat Benetton? Why didn't they beat McLaren? Why didn't they beat Williams? Why, it's not that. Who is this Ferrari imposter? If they wanted to impersonate Ferrari, someone needs to tell them to be more incompetent. Or is Fred and Lewis actually brought some positive culture changes to the team?
I think
I
9 races
genuinely,
are too early.
yeah, it's too early. But I will say, like, I think there is a chance as well that Lewis coming in, doing well with Leclerc there, keeping Fred on, that stability is just helping to pull the team in the direction it needs to, in a way that perhaps like a Sainz and a Leclerc couldn't do with Binotto, because you've got a Lewis who's a big figure, obviously able to back up Fred. You've got Fred then in stock with Lewis. Leclerc seems to be on board with the whole thing. He's signed up for a while. So maybe that kind of trio is helping to kind of push back on any board influence, because they're like, we're together on this, leave us alone. You know, and it's hard to do that. Maybe.
I'd wait until the end of the 2026 season.
Let's wait until the end of the second half, because 2022, things looked rosy as well for a while.
2024, remember 2024, they almost won the championship.
2017, 2018, 2012. We could go on for a while here. Yeah. Vettel Hamilton. Is Max Verstappen... which
one? Central 99 one.
I don't see it.
Okay, Merc
Maybe
DNS
it just came in.
might genuinely mean Hamilton could be in the title fight. Merc have DNF'd every other race. Yeah, true. Lewis is only 32 points behind, by the way, now. And even just like George, he has also significantly cut down the gap.
And he's got his safety car issue out of the way early in the season. So,
what safety car issue? Oh, yeah. He still got screwed, by the way. This time around,
that's
he
what
pitted.
I mean. Yeah, that's what I mean. He got it out of the way early.
No, even so last time around, the problem was he didn't pit when there was a safety car, right? This time around, he pitted.
And still got screwed. Yeah. So what I'm saying is, like, the safety car fucked him.
Yeah.
And he got that out of the way early. Yeah, it's done now. Is Max Verstappen cursed at this point because he was responsible for the whole controversy with Russell during Q3 at Austria for crashing, and now he caused a last lap crash? I actually feel bad for him now. Can we agree that this rebalanced out the bad luck that both George and Kimi Antonelli have?
Part. Yeah.
Sorry. Max Verstappen cursed? No, his father made this bed and they're sleeping.
Yeah, he's not cursed. Okay, Max Verstappen is not cursed. Where they are right now is a product of all the actions that, first of all... In
fairness, they're doing pretty good as well. Let's,
Not for their standards, right? That's
no,
the problem.
But I mean, for where Red Bull should be on paper, they're doing pretty good, I think.
Yeah, that's not how they see it. And the reason why they don't see it that way is because he sat there while Marco continued to leak nonsensical fake news, and while his dad continued to leak all these fake news, and that led to toxicity, that led to people leaving, and once that, you can say, the domino effect began, it has only continued to get worse and worse once Horner left. And
I'm getting a lot of flack. It was like 9 or 10 people shouting because someone quoted Max Verstappen saying, "I'm not superstitious, but it feels like I've run over a black cat."
Yeah.
And I just responded, "Nah, your dad just got Horner fired, mate." And like, obviously, some guy that's clearly a Verstappen fan as well, like, posted a response of like, BBC Sport, "Verstappen was not behind my Red Bull exit." But he didn't say which Verstappen.
Yeah, exactly.
He didn't. I never said Max Verstappen caused it. So which Verstappen are we talking about?
Yeah. So apparently, one person replied to. I had a similar reply on the same thing, and the reply was, "As a female, I am ashamed to see that an F1 content creator would try to defend someone like Christian Horner, who has allegedly done all these things." I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? First of all, this is Formula One. If you want to play moral Olympics, stop watching Formula One, because we are racing in countries that literally aided and abetted genocide. So if you want to play these things, stop watching Formula One. And again, she blocked me.
I got one on mine as well, which is probably the same person. Another male excusing inappropriate behavior. Horner got fired because he couldn't keep his professional distance from female employees. That's not why he got fired, because that happened months after.
That happened.
That was
18 months back.
18 months after. Tell me, why has no other team hired him yet? Because he wants a stake in the team. I pity the woman that's your girlfriend or wife. Some men should be more lonely. These people, seriously, I'm just going to reply with 2 words. Grow the fuck. No, actually, get back to the kitchen. There, that'll do.
Okay, apparently Eric Van Haren has... By the way, Eric Van Haren has...
I'm kidding, by the way. I didn't actually reply to that. I'm just that type of person doesn't merit a response, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, they're not worth the time. By the way,
No.
just a report, breaking news, by the way. Tension at Red Bull. For weeks now, there has been a lot of tension between Max's camp and Red Bull's top brass because Max refuses to declare where he'll keep racing for Red Bull in 2027. Pierre Vacher isn't sharing all the info with Lambiase because out of the fear that he'll leak it to McLaren. Max Verstappen feels ignored by his team and his engineers. The situation isn't healthy. And I mean, we all know who wrote it, Eric Van Haren. So
Yeah.
Pierre Vacher is out.
That's what it... Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as someone who is in terms of driving talent, who is we've said it far too many times, Max Verstappen will go down, at least in my view, as one of the top 5-6 greatest talents. The way he's conducting the second half of his career, it's Alonso-esque because he's making himself unemployable the way he's going right now. I'm not even kidding. Mercedes is not going to sign him. McLaren is not going to sign him. Ferrari is already booked. And what's left? Maybe Aston Martin because they don't have any other option. This level of toxicity and this level of the way
Good luck
he's
to him
going
at
about
Aston
it.
Martin, by the way.
Sorry?
Good luck to him at Aston Martin, by the way.
By the way, if Horner goes there, then he's not going
It's
there.
off the table. If Horner goes there, that's off the table. There is not a single hope in hell that Horner books a Verstappen.
Yeah.
And unless he says there's a clause in here, your father can't ever enter my fucking paddock or factory,
Or
basically.
leak anything to Telegraph.
Yeah.
.co.dutch,
Yeah.
whatever. is that.
He'll make the contract very like you have basically like I'm your boss here.
You have to leave your ego at the door. I think where Max is right now, first of all, the Red Bull stint has inflated his ego to a point where he needs the kind of money that, again, he deserves that kind of money. He needs the kind of privileges that come with it, be it marketing and everything. And the worst thing is that he's not really committed to Formula One the way other drivers are. He keeps talking about looking at other sports. He keeps talking about, okay, I might go and drive somewhere else. If that is something that you're publicly talking about, then how are you an appealing, you can say, how is someone like Max an appealing choice in that case? You aren't.
Yeah.
There are so many talents that are coming through. If he keeps this up, he could end up doing the Alonso thing, where he had a good run, but then he didn't know how to go about things. It ends up being toxic, and then teams start taking the step back, which I never thought would happen with him. But thanks, Jos.
Here we are. Yeah. And on that bombshell.
Bye-bye.
It's time to end. Bye, everybody.